So on the factor momentum stuff, and just to recap that, like high level, the argument is like, hey, really what drives momentum is not cross-sectional momentum and buying winners and selling losers. Really what it is momentum strategies are implicitly factor timing, because the cross-sectional momentum is really capturing like, oh, you should be in profitability right now, you should be in betting against beta right now, or whatever it is. And then what the argument is that it's actually better to capture the premiums via just straight up factor timing, whereas like doing cross-sectional momentum or relative strength is kind of a noisy way to get to that premium. So what I would say is that, having read all these papers, and there's, people have also studied this out of sample using like the GFD data, to me, globally, that is an unclear argument. I know there's the recent paper there that seems to suggest that, timing long short factors is at the margin, explains everything in relative strength momentum and then some. There's other papers out there that do kind of more half-ass versions of getting to that, but it's very simple. And they say, oh, factor timing actually doesn't work at all. It doesn't explain anything. So in my mind, when there's different research that, counteracts the other research and it's unclear, which is what happens most in empirical research, if you read enough papers, is there's kind of like a general concept like, hey, buy winners, buy things that look good on momentum. And now everyone gets buried in the weeds of their camp of like, well, I think you should do it with factor timing. I think you should do it like stock picking. I don't know the right answer. For me personally, I behaviorally believe that, again, momentum is a greed trade. And for me, it's just intuitive. Like, if I see a bunch of stock charts and some of them are going up and nice and a bunch of other stock charts that are going down and dirt balls, I believe that it's the greed trade and that the greed players are going to be focusing on these great stock charts. So cross-sectional momentum is just a way to exploit and front run these idiots. Factor momentum, I can't like think of a story that I can write on a napkin. And if I can't explain something to my monkey self, because I forgot all my PhD crap and I can't prove black shoals anymore, even though I used to be able to do that in my sleep. I needed to be able to explain it on a napkin. And cross-sectional relative strength momentum just makes sense to me. Whereas factor momentum, I understand, like, okay, it's kind of getting to that indirectly, but I don't know. I can't get my head around why it's any better or any worse than just doing what I'm already doing, and I already understand what I'm doing now. So, if someone pitched me on it and said, hey, I can do this at low cost, good taxes, and here's my process, I would say, great, like, let's do it. I just have no strong opinions on which one is better. I think they're both fine and they probably get to the same exact end state. I just am more comfortable intuitively with relative strength as a process at the stock level. But, that's just me.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of been a thread through a lot of your answers, Wes, where it's like, if you believe in a thing, you should do it. And
Yes.
If you don't, you shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really important that you understand what you're investing in and why. And it's less important that, like, well, Fama said this, or, Susie said this, or Wes said that, or Jack said that, or Ben said that, because those arguments are going to go on forever. Just like, hey, does God exist? How the hell are we ever going to know? Like, I personally think God probably exists, because how the hell else would all this stuff? It's just too crazy. But if someone said, well, I think God doesn't exist, I'd be like, well, great. We could just argue about this forever, but we're never going to actually get anywhere. What do you believe in? And what do you think makes sense? And what can you stick with? And what makes you happy? Do that. Is kind of my ethos on all of these things.
That's so good. I think that's a good place to end, Wes. I've spent, we spent 2 hours just now. I think I've probably spent maybe 6 hours with you outside of this, doing the same kind of thing, just talking through stuff. And for me, it's always been really impactful, and I've learned a ton from talking to you and Jack. It's amazing how generous you guys are with your time, and sharing that kind of experience with the Rational Minder community is kind of what I wanted to do here. And I think we I think we captured it really well. So we all very much appreciate your time, Wes.